Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava, Radhe, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Shri Radha Madhava ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Preshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Jnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, we're reading from 10th Canto, Chapter 8, verses 1 to 10. Chapter title, Lord Krishna shows the universal form within his mouth.
Sukadev Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, the priest of the Yadu dynasty, namely Garga Muni, who was highly elevated in austerity and penance, was then inspired by Vasudeva to go see Nanda Maharaj at his home.
When Nanda Maharaj saw Garga Muni present at his home, Nanda was so pleased that he stood up to receive him with folded hands. Although seeing Garga Muni with his eyes, Nanda Maharaj could appreciate that Garga Muni was a doshaja, that is, he was not an ordinary person seen by material senses.
When Garga Muni had been properly received as a guest and was very comfortably seated, Nanda Maharaj submitted with gentle and submissive words, Dear sir, because you are a devotee, you are full in everything. Yet my duty is to serve you. Kindly order me. What can I do for you?
O my lord, O great devotee, persons like you move from one place to another, not for their own interest, but for the sake of poor-hearted grastas, householders. Otherwise, they have no interest in going from one place to another.
O great saintly person, you have compiled the astrological knowledge by which one can understand past and present unseen things. By the strength of this knowledge, any human being can understand what he has done in his past life and how it affects his present life. This is known to you.
My lord, you are the best of Brahmanas, especially because you are fully aware of the Jyotish Shastra, the astrological science. Therefore, you are naturally the spiritual master of every human being. This being so, since you have kindly come to my house, kindly execute the reformatory activities for my chosen son.
Garga Muni said, My dear Nand Maharaj, I am the priestly guide of the Yadu dynasty. This is known everywhere. Therefore, if I perform the purificatory process for your sons, Kamsa will consider them the sons of Devaki.
Kamsa is both a great diplomat and a very sinful man. Therefore, having heard from Yogamaya, the daughter of Devaki, that the child who will kill him has already been born somewhere else. Having heard that the 8th pregnancy of Devaki could not bring forth a female child, and having understood your friendship with Vasudeva, Kamsa, upon hearing that the purificatory process has been performed by me, the priest of the Yadu dynasty, may certainly consider all these points and suspect that Krishna is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Then he might take steps to kill Krishna. That would be catastrophe.
We are until 9. What?
Yeah. I mean, okay, 10 is the verse we're going to read from. So we can just go right into the verse. Okay. Shri Nanda Uvacha Alakshitosmin Rahasi Mamakairapi Govraje Kuru Dvijati Sanskaram Swasti Vachana Purvakam Shri Nanda Uvacha Alakshitosmin Rahasi Mamakairapi Govraje Guru Dvijati Sanskaram Swasti Vachana Purvakam
Srinanda Uvacha
Srinanda Uvacha
Alakshitosmin Rahasi
Alakshitosmin Rahasi
Mamakir api govraje
Mamakairapi govraje.
Guru Dvijati Samskaram.
Guru Dvijati Samskaram. Swasti Vachana Purvakam.
Shri Nanda Uvacha.
Shri Nanda Uvacha.
Alakshitosmin rahasi.
Alakshitosmin rahasi. Mamakairapi govraje.
Guru Dvijati Samskaram.
Guru Dvijati Samskaram. Swasti Vachana Purvakam. Shri Nanda Uvacha. Alakshitosmin rahasi. Mamakairapi govraje. Guru Dvijati Samskaram. Swasti Vachana Purvakam. Okay. Shri Nanda Uvacha. Alakshitosmin rahasi. Mamakairapi govraje. Guru Dvijati Samskaram. Swasti Vachana Purvakam. Shri Nanda Uvacha. Alakshitosmin rahasi. Mamakairapi govraje. Samskaram Swasti Vachana Purvakam. Shri Nanda Uvacha. Nanda Maharaj said to Garga Muni, Alakshitaha, without Kamsa's knowledge, Asmin, in this cowshed, Rahasi, in a very solitary place, Mamakaihi, even by my relatives, Api, a still more secluded place, Govraje, in the cowshed, Guru, just execute. Dvijati Sanskaram, the purificatory process of second birth. Sanskarad Bhaved Dvijaha. It's nice, he just inserts a verse in the. Okay. Swasti Vachana Purvakam. By chanting the Vedic hymns. To perform the purificatory process. Translation. Nanda Maharaj said, well, altogether I guess for the translation, my dear great sage, if you think that your performing this process of purification will make Kamsa suspicious, then secretly chant the Vedic hymns and perform the purifying process of second birth here in the cowshed of my house, without the knowledge of anyone else, even my relatives, for this process of purification is essential. Purport. Okay, go ahead.
Nanda Maharaj did not like the idea of avoiding the purificatory process. Despite the many obstacles, he wanted to take advantage of Garga Muni's presence and do what was needed. The purificatory process is essential, especially for Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Therefore, since Nanda Maharaj presented himself as a Vaishya, this process of purification was essential. Formerly, such institutional activities were compulsory. Chaturvarna Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha, Bhagavad Gita 4:13. Without these activities of purification, the society would be considered a society of animals. To take advantage of Garga Muni's presence, Nanda Maharaj wanted to perform the Namkarana ceremony, even secretly, without any gorgeous arrangements. Therefore, the opportunity for purification should be regarded as essential duty of human society. In Kali Yuga, however, people have forgotten the essence. Manda Sumanda Matthew, Manda Bhagya Upad. Bhagavatam 1.1.10.
Maybe someone else can finish. I saw your hand first.
In this age, people are all bad and unfortunate, and they do not accept Vedic instructions to make their life successful. Nanda Maharaj, however, did not want to neglect anything. To keep intact a happy society advanced in spiritual knowledge, he took full advantage of Garga Muni's presence to do what was necessary. How degraded society has become within 5,000 years. Manda Sumanda Mateo Manda Bhagya. The human life is obtained after many, many millions of births, and it is intended for purification. Previously, a father was eager to give all kinds of help to elevate his children, but at present, because of being misguided, people are prepared even to kill to avoid the responsibility of raising children.
Thank you. So, how degraded society has become within 5,000 years. This was the concern of Arjuna in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that this battle would lead to the degradation of tradition. Because when the elders are killed, then the tradition dies with them. So we see in 5,000 years of Kali Yuga. And this is just the sandhi, the overlap between Dwapara and Kali Yuga. We still have over 400,000 years to go. So how degraded we can become, let's see. We should not stick around to find out. We should all take advantage of this process and go back to Godhead now. Because let's say you don't successfully complete the process of Krishna consciousness, your incomplete bhakti will award you the heavenly planets, and you'll go there for maybe 10,000 years, and then take birth on earth again. So you'll be much further ahead in Kali Yuga. And so we should really wake up and take advantage of this process and not stick around to find out how degraded we can become in 15,000 years. What to speak of 400,000 years. In the end of Kali Yuga, it's mentioned in the 12th canto that the pinnacle of Kali Yuga will be when mothers will have children to eat them for a source of food. There will be no vegetation, animals will be scarce as well. People will be more or less cannibals, and so there will be a whole industry of producing children for food. So in the material world, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the love between a mother and her child is the greatest form of love you can find materially. It's like the most pure form of love. So you can imagine then, when we get to that state, how hard-hearted people will be. So, previously, a father was eager to give all kinds of help to elevate his children. But at present, because of being misguided, people are prepared even to kill to avoid the responsibility of raising children. So previously, parents would, even before conception, they would prepare through the samskaras, garbhadana samskara. They would prepare their consciousness for conception, because this is a very subtle science, that one's consciousness at the time of intercourse will determine the consciousness of the soul who is attracted to the womb. So it's something to be taken seriously. Srila Prabhupada mentions it in multiple places and encourages the members of the ISKCON society as well to practice these things. At least he mentioned a minimum of 50 rounds on that day to prepare your consciousness, but there's a formal process also that is given by Gopal Bhatta Goswami in the Satkriya Saradipika, which is a book he compiled on samskaras for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So parents would take the responsibility of having children very seriously. As it's mentioned in the Shastra, one should not become a parent unless he can deliver his children from birth and death. So it was taken seriously. Nowadays, we see, Srila Prabhupada mentions, people are prepared even to kill to avoid the responsibility of raising children. So they want to enjoy intercourse and then kill the child in the womb. And this is how degraded things have become in 5,000 years. What to speak of planning to elevate your children in all ways you can, taking advantage of all these different samskaras. Now, what to speak of even raising the child, they want to just eliminate the child. So this is very demoniac activity, very degraded, and very far from just 5,000 years ago, the culture that we saw. So the question might come up, what is the purpose of samskaras? Are they still required? Isn't chanting Hare Krishna enough? We just, practice Krishna consciousness, and do we need all of these things? So this would be an interesting topic to discuss. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned in New Vrindavan, 1976, samskara. The real aim is to bring the rascal to the platform of knowledge. That is called samskara. Janmana jayate shudra. By birth, everyone is the same. Shudras means without any knowledge. But the samskara means shudra, rascal, without any knowledge of spiritual life, to gradually bring him to the spiritual platform. That is called samskara. And samskarad bhaved dvijaha. That is essential. So samskaras, the point is purification. We are conditioned in this world in so many ways. Samskaras help to purify that conditioning. So Garbhadan, first of all, sets the family up to receive very elevated personality, matching that consciousness. Then you have others like the Simantanayana Samskar, which is to give a good intelligence to the child, and the Anaprashan ceremony to give good health, digestive health to the child. There are so many material benefits that these bring. Spiritually, though, also, it's a source of, or a cause of the community coming together to glorify the Lord, to hear and chant, to worship the Lord together. So it's just more opportunities for communities to strengthen their relationships, and all centered around Krishna. And the child then gets the benefit of, at every major event, every milestone of his life, every rite of passage is centered around Krishna. So he grows up completely surrounded by Krishna consciousness. So it's a very beneficial practice even from that point of view. But materially, there are benefits in terms of health, intelligence, and so on. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 1, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 13. There's a nice passage there. Maybe you can pull it up on the screen. Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 13. It's the purport. So let's scroll down. Haribol. Okay, let's see. Yes, so maybe we can read. Let's have someone read this. Okay, you wanted last time, yeah.
There is a need for a good and intelligent class of brahmanas who are expert in performing the purificatory process prescribed in the system of Varnashram Dharma. Unless such purificatory processes are performed, there is no possibility of good population. And in the age of Kali, the population all over the world is of Shudra quality or lower for want of this purificatory process. This is not possible, however, to revive the Vedic process. It is not possible, however, revive the Vedic process of purification in this age for want of proper facilities and good brahmanas. But there is a Pancharatrika system.
As it is, please.
As it is, yeah. System also recommended for the sage. The Pancharatrika system acts on the Shudra class of men, supposedly the population of the Kali Yuga, and it is prescribed in purificatory process suitable to the age and time. Such purificatory process is allowed only for the spiritual upliftment and not for any other purpose. Spiritual upliftment is never conditioned by higher.
Okay. Someone else can continue the next paragraph. Prabhu. Yeah.
After the Garbhadana purificatory process, there are certain other samskaras like Simantonanyana, Sadbhakshanam, etc. During the period of pregnancy and when the child is born, the first purificatory process is Jata Karma. This was performed duly by Maharaja Yudhishthira with the help of good and learned brahmanas like Bhaumya, the royal priest, and Kripacharya, who was not only a priest but also a great general. Both these learned and perfect priests, assisted by other good brahmanas, were employed by Maharaj Yudhishthira to perform the ceremony. Therefore, all samskaras, purificatory processes, are not mere formalities or social functions only, but they are all for practical purposes and can be successfully performed by expert brahmanas like Dhumya and Kripa. Such brahmanas are not only rare but also not available in this age, and therefore, for the process of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer to the purificatory process under Pancharatrika formulas to the Vedic rites.
Yes, we'll stop here. That's all. It's very interesting. So Srila Prabhupada mentions there's a need. There's a need for brahmanas who are qualified. By brahmanas, of course, he means Brahmana Vaishnavas. That they should be trained in how to perform these ceremonies. And he mentions that the Vedic process of samskaras is not, he says it is not possible, however, to revive the Vedic process of purification in this age for want of proper facilities and good brahmanas. But there is the Pancharatric system, also recommended for this age. And at the end, he mentions that such brahmanas are not only rare, but also not available in this age, and therefore, for the purpose of spiritual upliftment in this fallen age, the Goswamis prefer the purificatory processes under Pancharatric formulas to the Vedic rites. So we'll discuss this a little bit. What is the difference between Vedic rites and Pancharatric? But it's clear that Srila Prabhupada wanted such ceremonies to be performed, that he valued them, he saw the value. He mentioned in many, many other places as well. This is just one example. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 17:163, there's a verse. Kali kale taiche shakti nahika brahmane ataiva gobadha keha na kore ekhane. Formerly, there were powerful brahmanas who could make such experiments using Vedic hymns. But now, because of the Kali Yuga, brahmanas are not so powerful. Therefore, the killing of cows and bulls for rejuvenation is forbidden. So certain ceremonies, animal sacrifices, they're forbidden in this age. Why? Because in Kali Yuga, there is a lack of qualified Brahmins. They don't have the purity. In the Vishnu Yamala Tantra, which is quoted in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it mentions, in the Satya Yuga, rules and regulations were based on the Vedas. In the Treta Yuga, they were based on the Smriti literature. In the Dwapara Yuga, they were based on the Puranas. And in the Kali Yuga, they are based on the Agamas. The Agamas includes Pancharatra, Tantras, and the Agama literature. It's a category of literature, the Upasana literature. So you have these three divisions, Trikanda, the Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. So Upasana Kanda, those literature are the Agamas, Tantras, Agamas, Pancharatras. They describe deity worship. Pancharatra means deity worship, and the whole lifestyle surrounding deity worship. Everything we do in the temple here, from morning till night, is Pancharatric. And it's all described in scriptures like Narada Pancharatra and other tantras, which were compiled in the Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So, then it says, Brahmanas born in Kali Yuga are impure, just like Shudras. They should become purified by following the rules and regulations that are prescribed in the Agamas, because they cannot achieve the same result by following the Vedic rules and regulations. So they don't have the adhikar. Practically no one presently has the qualification to follow strictly the Vedic process. We need to take also help of the Pancharatric. So as devotees, so we have these three paths or three, margs that are often mentioned: the Bhagavat, Pancharatrik, and the Vedic. The Bhagavat is our direct connection with Krishna, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, just, direct devotional service. Pancharatra is the same devotional service in a regulated schedule, in a regulated way. Yeah? So Bhagavat implies that you have a desire to do those activities, you're doing it spontaneously, so like the Raga Nuga platform. Pancharatra is Vaidhi, so it means you're doing those things in a regulated way, which are not necessarily because you have a desire internally, but because the injunctions of Scripture instruct you to do so, or your spiritual master instructs you to do so. And then the Vedic includes everything outside of the deity worship, which includes your occupation, your family life, and things like this. That's governed by the Varnashram principles. Yeah. So you have these layers. So ideally, we're fully engaged on the Bhagavat platform, like Haridas Thakur or these great Vaishnavas who are fully engaged on the Bhagavat Marg, just completely absorbed in the holy name. And we see that in the early days of ISKCON, this was the platform, 12, 14 days of Harinam Sankirtan on the street, distributing books, doing Harinam, and then you come back and have a feast and go to sleep, wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, and go out on the street again. That was the early days of ISKCON. Then after some time, Srila Prabhupada noticed that his disciples were not able to maintain this kind of program, and he introduced some Pancharatric schedule. The Mangalarati morning program that we have today, which he introduced gradually, and the evening program and so on. And then during the day going out for some Harinam Sankirtan, the Bhagavat. So then you have this Pancharatric and the Bhagavat. And later, then devotees, got married and this and that, and then the Varnashram side started to become more important. So these are kind of like safety nets for us, that if we cannot maintain the Bhagavat all the time, do as much as we can, then we fall back on the Pancharatric, and at least our life is centered around the deity. And then if we cannot do that, also, like not everyone can fully stay in the temple, as you guys are all doing, and do a full kind of temple program. Then there's a need for some occupational duties, maybe having a family and so on. So that's all covered under Varnashram. And then at least you're following some Vedic principles which are ordained by the Lord. And then everything outside of that, if you don't follow the Shastra, then that's just not recommended at all. So these are the different paths that were, like parallel paths that we're following. Now, what is the speciality of the Pancharatric over the Vedic? Srila Prabhupada mentions in one lecture, 1971, our Sanatana Goswami gives direction in the Hari Bhakti Vilas that one man can become a Brahmana by the regular process of Diksha. Diksha, this initiation, cannot be offered to a Shudra. Diksha cannot be offered to a Shudra. But in this age, Kali Yuga, it is the statement of the Shastras that in the Kali Yuga, most of the population are Shudras. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha, how they can be initiated. This initiation is offered not according to the Vedic rules, because it is very difficult to find out a qualified Brahmana. Diksha is offered to a qualified Brahmana. So traditionally that's Diksha. You get your Upanayana Samskara, and you become a Brahmachari, you study in the Gurukul. So the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas would take that initiation, get the thread, get the Brahma Gayatri, begin the Vedic rites, learning the Vedas and doing yagyas and so on. Therefore, so Diksha is offered to a qualified Brahmin. Therefore, this Diksha is offered according to Pancharatriki Vidhi. That is recommended in this age. My spiritual master inaugurated this Pancharatriki Vidhi, and we are following in his footsteps. And Hari Bhakti Vilas mentions, Shudras and women who are chaste and sincerely interested in understanding the absolute truth are qualified to be initiated with the Pancharatrik mantras. So whereas the Vedic process is exclusively, well, we can say it's exclusive, right? Only certain members of society can get access. Men within those 3 varnas, especially coming from good families that performed the prior samskaras, garbhadan and so on. So even if you didn't perform those samskaras and you're coming from a Brahmin family, you would not be eligible for Upanayanam. You would not get Diksha. So it was quite exclusive. Yeah? And there's reason for that, to keep the purity of the Vedic tradition. And therefore we have it now descending from time immemorial. Just most of the time through oral reception, not even written down until the beginning of Kali Yuga. So you have eons of tradition descending down unbroken because of this stricture, right? So that's respectable. However, in this age, how can everyone benefit? Well, therefore we have the Pancharatric system. It opens the door not only to less qualified Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, but also to Shudras and also to women. That women can take, therefore in ISKCON we have second initiation also for women. You receive the Pancharatric Gayatri mantras. So traditionally women would not get the Brahma Gayatri, which is a Vedic mantra that we now receive since the time of Bhaktisiddhanta. At the time of second initiation, we also received that Brahma Gayatri, we received the thread. These are elements of Vedic initiation. So traditionally women would not get these aspects. Srila Prabhupada was quite innovative. He did give the Brahma Gayatri to women because actually the way it happened was told by Govinda Mataji that there was going to be a second initiation ceremony happening for men, and the women protested and they boycotted the ceremony, and they said they were not going to go. And Srila Prabhupada relented, and he said, okay, then tomorrow we will also give you initiation. And so that's kind of how it entered. So nonetheless, it's only through Pancharatra that anyone has the adhikar to take the initiation and to practice these kind of Vedic rites, But we do it in a Pancharatric way. That's what we'll make clear in a moment. So what is that Pancharatric Diksha? As we mentioned, the Vedic Diksha is Upanayanam. There's a ceremony that at the Gurukul, where you receive the thread and you become a brahmachari, you become a disciple of your Kul Guru, and you learn all the Vedas and how to do yagyas and so on. Pancharatric Diksha is also known as Pancha Samskara. So we're talking about samskaras. There are various samskaras in the family environment, but this is another type of samskar, which is the most important of all the samskaras. That is our Vaishnav Diksha. This is a samskar. It's known as Pancha Samskara because there are 5 elements: Tapa, Pundra, Nama, Mantra, and Yaga. Tapa means austerity, but externally it means marking the body with the symbols of Vaishnavism. The Kantimala, Shika, putting the holy name or symbols such as the conch or lotus on the body with chandan and so on. In certain traditions, they actually brand the body with a hot iron symbol. At the time of initiation, they'll burn in a chakra, and that's tapa. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quite merciful. So we apply chandan. Then there's pundra, urdhva pundra, tilak. This is urdhva pundra. We apply tilak on the body as to remind us of the Lord, as an indication that this body is a temple, and so on. Nama. So we receive Harinam, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we receive also our own Nam, a Diksha name. Now these first 3 aspects are what we call first initiation in ISKCON. You wear tilak, you have your neck beads, your shika, yeah? And you get a name and you chant Hare Krishna. This is the first three elements of Diksha. The second half, the fourth and fifth principle of Pancha Samskar are mantra and yaga. Mantra means getting a Pancharatra Gayatri mantra, a secret mantra that you chant silently. And yaga means worship. You engage in the process of archana or deity worship. You get the qualification. So actually Diksha means getting a secret mantra and getting a new adhikar. Something that you can do now that you have not been able to do before. So by this definition, Harinam initiation is not really initiation as such. It's only 0.5 initiation. It's the first half. And the reason for that is that by chanting the holy name, we become qualified, we become purified, we become more into the mode of goodness that we can chant Gayatri and engage in deity worship. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur broke it up in that way, because of the lack of adhikar of the disciples, of the candidates for initiation. So it's a very effective system. But altogether, these five comprise Pancharatric initiation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in an article called Pancha Samskara, where he talks about these five elements of initiation, he says, some people think that to achieve prema, one does not need any samskaras. Such a belief is delusional. By turning away from Bhagavan, the bound jiva has gradually mutated, and without full purification or samskara, they cannot attain their swarup or inherent nature. He's saying this is essential. What other means is there to achieve one's swarup? The only way and primary method is through samskara. Without samskaras, how will our disfigurement be overcome? If one does not perceive any disfigurement in someone, then it may be considered that due to the Guru's grace from past lives, they have received the samskaras. By it, as we say, janme janme, Prabhu say, birth after birth. So it means in a previous life, they've already gone through this process. By attaining their swarup through the influence of these samskaras, such pure prema has manifested. Alternatively, we may think that such a person, through the inconceivable power of Bhagavan's grace, has been purified in an imperceptible manner, as we saw in Putana, Kripa Siddha. No matter what reason is applied, samskaras should never be neglected. However, in relation to liberated jivas who are traversing this mundane world, samskaras are not necessary for them because they are not distorted. Therefore, we see, for example, the 6 Goswamis. They're disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they never took any initiation. We don't see Rupa and Sanatan. He gave them a name, but what else? There was no initiation. Yeah, and there are many examples. Liberated souls, they simply follow shiksha. That's the initiation. There's no need for diksha because they're already on the Bhagavat mark. Why do they need Pancharatric initiation if they're fully established on the Bhagavat platform? So we see externally that they don't go through this process of samskara. That's because they already are siddha. So, however, he says, let's see, I'm just skipping ahead on this a little bit. Yes. If a person experiences prema in this life due to the influence of the samskaras of his previous births, he will not reject the necessity of samskaras and refuse to accept them. Rather, for the welfare of ordinary people, he will accept the samskara process in order to set an example to the world. So even great souls who don't necessarily need to go through that process of initiation, they still do so to set an example. Yeah? Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all of our acharyas are nitya siddhas. They're coming from the spiritual world to preach. But to set an example, they go through this procedure. And here, this acharya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is saying it's imperative. It's essential. Jiva Goswami, I'll just take a moment more. I know we're getting close to time. Jiva Goswami mentions in Bhakti Sandarbha, he says it's Bhagavatam's opinion that the process of deity worship is not actually necessary, just as the specific prescriptions of Pancharatra and other scriptures do not have to be followed. So Pancharatra is not essential. We only need the Bhagavat. But why do we follow the Pancharatric system? He mentions, Although deity worship is not essential, the material conditioning of most candidates for devotional service requires that they engage in this activity. When we consider their bodily and mental conditions, we find that the character of such candidates is impure, and their minds are agitated. Therefore, to rectify this material conditioning, the great sage Narada and others have at different times recommended various kinds of regulations for deity worship. Again, because we lack the qualification. So we take advantage of this process. Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita that sometimes neophyte devotees think that they can continue the Shravana Kirtana process without worshipping the deity. But the execution of such Shravana Kirtana is meant for highly developed devotees like Haridas Thakur, who engaged in the Shravana Kirtana process without worshipping the deity. However, one should not falsely imitate Haridas Thakur and abandon deity worship just to try to engage in Shravana Kirtana. This is not possible for neophyte devotees. Very clear. So, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, out of his mercy, he understood that in the future, Gaudiya Vaishnavas would need a system of samskara. We're not talking about here the Pancha Samskar or initiation. We're talking about the other samskaras that Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Garbhadhan, Simantanayana, Jata Karma, Namakarana, all of these types of samskaras. And the very popular Vivaha Samskar, wedding, people are getting married. They need a system of samskara, but we're not qualified for those Vedic rites. So what's the solution? So he compiled the Satkriya Sara Deepika, which is a book where he gives Vaishnav samskaras. He writes in the introduction, in this work, proofs are cited from the Vedas, Puranas, Upapuranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Pancharatra, Yamalas, Ramayana, and other scriptures, and from the 18 Dharma Shastras, including Manusmriti, to show the superiority of following Bhagavat Dharma, as opposed to following the above-mentioned fruitive manuals. So he lists all the previous manuals, the Vedic manuals that were compiled for samskaras. He says, as Vaishnavas, we don't need to follow those. He says, I have written this manual for those within the Varnashrama system, such as Brahmanas, and for those outside, such as illegitimate offspring, who are also unalloyed devotees of the Lord. By following this manual, they can avoid seva and namaparad by avoiding worship of the devatas and pitris. So all the worship of the forefathers, worship of the demigods, he's completely removed those karma kanda elements, and it's entirely Vaishnav. It's all you see throughout these procedures. If you look at these, samskaras that he has compiled, it's all like glorification of the Lord. All the mantras are the holy name, and it's all centered around the deity, centered around the Lord, Sri Krishna. So he has given us that process. Yeah. So we have a system which we implement, and we avoid, as he said, seva and namaparad. We avoid the 10 offenses, such as worshipping the devatas, considering them equal, and so on. So, by the grace of our acharyas, we can also continue this tradition of samskaras and take advantage, and while maintaining, our absorption in the Lord on the Bhagavat level, then we can materially get benefit, in terms of our conditioned nature, getting purified, helping our children to get purified, helping devotees to situate themselves properly materially through marriage. Yeah? So, okay. Many things were discussed, so if there's any question. Yes?
Who was the author again for Satkriya Sara?
Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for the class. My question is, you mentioned that these Goswamis, they took initiation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like as a Shiksha.
Well, not initiation.
Yeah.
They were Shiksha disciples. That's what I'm saying, that those on the Bhagavat Marg, they don't have to take formal initiation. They just follow the orders. Yeah?
Yeah, but I heard that Jiva Goswami, when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was like an infant, and he took all his Shikshas from Rupa Goswami.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like we are Shiksha disciples of Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON, like we're still, right? So Shiksha is not bound by personal contact or anything like this. But still, the six Goswamis, we consider them to be the primary followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But anyway, this is just an exception, what you're talking about. But the others, had his personal contact. And
Just a follow-up on Prabhu's question. We have also heard Mahaprabhu giving proper Babaji peace to Gopal Bhatta Goswami Maharaj. Sorry, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And then I think there was one more Goswami and it was considered as an initiation. He
Yeah.
said the proper asana when they entered Vrindavan. And then the whole Babaji Vesh.
yeah.
So
some elements are there, but it's not complete. But yeah, try to understand the principle. Yes, Prabhu.
We see these samskaras are very helpful in purifying oneself. But if one is performing devotional service with all their heart, or even if it's trying to perform with all their heart, how much does this samskaras really is needed? As you mentioned, people already on the Bhagavad path, they don't need this. So
Yeah.
why is there a mention of samskaras and everything?
Yeah, well, that's what the whole class was about.
The purification process is there, but if one
Yes.
is already performing devotional service, how much does this?
Yeah, because in our execution of devotional service, we may not be performing it in a very pure way, so the purification will take a very long time. So we take all the help that we can get. Yeah. The point is that we should not consider ourselves to be situated on the Bhagavad platform like Haridas Thakur, where we can fully take advantage of just direct devotional service. We engage as much as we can, but if you find that most of your day is not spent in devotional service, you probably need to take advantage of samskaras. Yeah. If you're not chanting, 22 hours a day like Haridas Thakur, and not a care in the world, and never talking about anything other than Krishna, never thinking about anything other than Krishna, not thinking about the opposite sex at all, you understand?
Yes.
This is the kind of people that don't need to take advantage of these things, because they've already attained the benefit of those things. Yeah, so something less is included in something greater. The principle of sambhava. If you have $100, you have $10 also. So it's the whole point of many of these statements. The point being made was that, yes, they're not essential, but for those who are not pure, they're very much needed for them. They're not essential means for a certain category of people. We may or may not be in that category. Yeah, hope that makes sense. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki.